For more on our top story, political analyst Joe Siracusa joins me from Perth in Australia. Professor, great to have you. Tell me, what do you make of these latest developments?
Morning, Jaffer. Look, I want to say some things that really haven't been said this morning, and that is an objective observer, and I'm not that objective. You know, I've got my views about a lot of things. I mean, clearly, the Islamic Republic of Iran and Israel are at war. The attack of 90 million people on the soil of a nation of 10 million people with 200 to 300 drones, I mean, the Israelis said there were 300, is a casus belli. It's a classic case. So overnight, Israel becomes the aggrieved, the victim in every court of law. Now, I know there's a story about having attacked or killed some of the Revolutionary Guard in Syria on foreign soil in the consulate. But keep in mind, 45 years ago, almost to the day, the Iranians seized the American embassy, kidnapped 55 American hostages, and destroyed the career of Jimmy Carter after 444 days. These folks know how powerful it is to grab somebody's embassy and threaten other people. And the other thing, too, is this. Killing people on foreign soil is just a bad day's work. It's called extrajudicial murder. When the Americans do it, the Russians do it, the Chinese do it, whoever does, it doesn't have to be, can never be justified. It's always just murder as far as I'm concerned. It breaks all the laws in the book. So, you know, you just can't say that this is this is an extraordinary moment. Actually, it isn't. This is what great powers do, is they kill anybody they want wherever they can get them. Now, look, I think the Israeli response, and the Israelis are looking at this very closely. I mean, this is a godsend to Netanyahu. If this would have happened 6 months down the road, when the Iranians probably have acquired a nuclear weapon, this would be a different game. This is a lifeline to Netanyahu, and that is, you know, for the first time in 6 months watching this show, the atrocities in Gaza are off the front page. I mean, they've retreated. And here Netanyahu has a chance of saving his own hide, his own government, and might even become likable again to the Israeli people. At the same time, Joe Biden continues to flounder. He continues to resist a growing regional war in the Middle East, which he can't stop for some reason, and he is unable to control the domestic fallout among his own supporters. So, you know, this idea of attacking Israel at this time in this fashion doesn't really satisfy too many of Iran's national security interests. I mean, I'm not sure the Persian people support all of this, given their recent history of resistance in certain areas about the economy, though this is greatly reassuring Iran's access to resistance in the neighborhood. So look, I think this is a game changer, and I use this in the greatest sense of the word. This is a new era. We have an official, we have a declaration of war. That's what this is. And so, you know, the headline on TV screens should be, Iran is at war with Israel. That's what we're looking at here. This is a brand new game, and I think Netanyahu is going to test the waters here. I think there will be a counterstrike. It will be specific and contained, and Netanyahu is going to hope that the Iranians don't take the bait and let it go by the board. So he's going to have to respond. There's no guessing here. He will respond, whether it's small or whatever. But I think it's going to be a very specific attack in a contained area to show the Iranians are still there. And look, the other thing, too, is as a co-American, as an American national as well as an Australian national, who's going to pay for this? I mean, the Israelis are 9.5 million people. The Americans already ponying up $4 billion a year, $18 billion this year for the defense. I mean, how long can a nation of under 10 million people afford this kind of expensive air defense systems and get someone to pay for it? And the generation of Americans that footed the bill for Israel are going, gone. You know, the boomers are about out of the scene. The younger people are not in the mood to do this. So I think there's a whole lot of things going on in Netanyahu's head, which are going to force him to make some decisions that we're not going to like. I think he might play hard with Iran. He's going to continue to ignore the Americans. And if he's going to save his career and maybe even his political hide, he's going to have to do some pretty dramatic things. But these things are now lined up for him. His ducks are in a row. Iran's attacked. He's able to say now he's a victim. We got to do something about this. I think the Iranians were actually winning this war. I mean, Hamas had a draw up until the day before yesterday. But when the Iranians got in this now, making Netanyahu look like some kind of a victim, which he's not, but he's able to portray himself as a man who was attacked. So I think the game has changed. We're up to a kind of a new issue, and your visitor on the set is absolutely right here. We've entered brand new territory.
Okay, Professor, assuming things don't escalate further, there's no response from Israel, who do you think turned out to be victorious here if it doesn't escalate any further?
Well, I think the air defense industry is looking pretty brilliant here with these air defense systems. I mean, not many countries have this kind of capability or are prepared to spend this kind of money. So it looks like those kinds of investments have paid off. I think the Israelis will attack. I mean, they have to do something. Netanyahu's not going to sit back and be told that he could have done something down the road, because this is his moment of truth. He doesn't want to face the Iranians down the road when they've acquired a nuclear capability. But, you know, up until a couple of days ago, Jaffer, the Hamas had a draw with the mighty Israeli Defense Force, and we were on our way to some kind of diplomatic negotiation or solution. And I hope that's how this thing ends sooner rather than later. But, you know, the Middle East, in my 50 years of teaching, has always been a tinderbox, but never more so than the last couple of days.
So what's the likelihood there might be an all-out war?
Oh, I think they're very good. You know, there was a great journalist like yourself, you know, back in the 30s, young man who once said that all the odds in life are 6 to 5 against. I think the odds are a little bit less than 1 in 2 that we're going to have an all-out conflict. And for many people in Israel, this is it. This is the moment of truth. You know, this is when they have the most backing in the United States they're ever going to get, the most armaments coming in, and they may decide that this is the time to roll the dice. And in every war that we've tried to avoid, whether it was 1914 or 1945, it was always a few people who decided to roll the dice. They didn't know whether they were going to win or lose. All they knew is they had to try.
Professor Joe Siracusa, thanks very much for talking to us here on TRT World. As always, really appreciate your taking out the time.